Finally, Steve, tell me about your morning. Did you have any technology issue this morning?
Kind of new to this whole technology thing and trying to film inside of vehicles. It's all new stuff to me. So yeah, it was a little tricky this morning, but I am so happy to be here because today, David, would you like to know who the guest is?
As long as he can help you with anything tech driven, then that would be good.
All right, David. Well, today he's right over there. He's right over there. He's right over there. So today I am very happy to say that we have with us Mr. Adam Chen, and he's the president at a company called AmenityLinc. Welcome, Adam. Thanks for being on the show. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about what it is that you guys do over at AmenityLinc?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show, David and Steve. You teed me up great with the technology too, but yeah, AmenityLinc is a property technology software that we've brought from the commercial space into the residential world. And, I think there's a lot of, property technology companies that certainly focus on, multifamily and some other industries, and I'm here to say that, there's a huge opportunity and a huge need to help some of our association clients. So we do really where we focus is on those communities that have programming and lifestyle features at their property.
Okay.
They want to, have some engagement programs and really build that sense of community.
Okay, so in terms of like territory, parts of the country, globally, where are you guys serving right now?
Yeah, we're mostly up and down the eastern seaboard and then out along kind of the Sun Belt a little bit, which mirrors some of our partner companies' footprints. And, we're really trying to, we see a lot of hot markets and a lot of growth in, Florida, especially the, the Raleigh-Durham area and the Carolinas is growing pretty heavily, as well as out west.
Yeah, the technology triangle down there, Raleigh-Durham. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, and now talking about technologies, when you go to an expo, whether it's the apartment association, the community association institute expos, I'd say like 7 years ago, you had all kinds of service providers, but today you see more and more software and technology service providers than before. So what makes your technology different than others in the market? What's make you stand alone?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I really think it comes down to usability, and it's something that we take a lot of pride in when we develop our software. Something that we always say, there's obviously a bunch of venture capital that has gone into the industry in the past. We obviously are in some throes of that, with some of these bank failures and whatnot. We see a huge opportunity for just the entire industry to adopt technology to help with some of the staffing challenges that we're facing, in the property management front. How do we simplify processes to make things easier on the staff, which maybe will drive, increased, retention and lower churn of those employees. But I think the other side of this is that we've seen resident expectations, as just consumers in the world increase. And, the real estate industry just in general needs to meet these residents where they are and meet those base level expectations. So we've really honed in on usability first and foremost. There's a lot of softwares, as you mentioned, out there that do an immense number of things, everything from lease up all the way through to operations of the property. But what I always tell clients is you could have the most feature-rich tech in the world, but if it's not easy to use, intuitive for people to pick up and adopt, it's kind of worthless. So we really focus on how we can reduce the number of clicks and make things very intuitive and easy, which also reduces the training time needed and the speed to market that a lot of these properties can adopt the technology.
Okay, so you mentioned features in there. What are some of the core features of your product?
Yeah, we really have two sides of the platform. We have, browser-based admin screens that properties can use for a variety of different operations, everything from maintenance staff management and work orders and preventative maintenance to resource tracking and activity logging and shift logging. We do package handling for mailroom attendants. And we also do mobile access credentials for different, hardware and access control systems. On the other side of the product is really a resident portal. How do we bring all the services, features, and benefits directly to what everyone has in their pocket, their mobile device, right? So it can replace things like community newsletters. We have an event platform that allows us to run community events through there, as well as, we have our version of a, virtual concierge of approved vendors that we can offer additional value and pass through that value from our preferred relationships directly to, the residents of the communities we serve.
Okay. All right. So now there's a lot to unpack there. All right. There's a lot of features.
Yes.
It seems like a pretty deep platform. So how do you work with the clients or even prospective clients?
Yeah, you're right. And I think in a lot of our initial conversations, it is a little overwhelming. There are a lot of point solutions, I think, in the marketplace right now. And what you see and what we deal with a lot of properties is you have this proliferation of a bunch of different pieces of technology that they're using. And it can get very confusing. It can get very frustrating. So we're looking at ways that we can consolidate some of that, which is why we have that broad, set of features. But we work with clients really what we would call like a crawl, walk, run approach. And that's pretty ubiquitous, I think, in technology. But you got to start small. Change is hard. You're dealing with people, so we like to, identify some of those initial pain points, get our software rolled out. And then what we do with our clients is we meet with them on a quarterly basis and do quarterly business reviews. We look at the data that we've collected, and then we look at that next opportunity where we can provide additional value, and we'll consult in a lot of ways with our clients. While we sell software, really at the end of the day, I would fancy ourselves a little bit more of technology consultants for our partners.
Now, on your previous answer to Steve, there's a point that you mentioned. You try to reduce the amount of clicks. And it kind of reminded me back, remember when people had the Palm Pilots?
No.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Steve acts like he doesn't know what I'm talking about. He still uses one. But so when people had the Palm Pilot, I forgot who was driving this thing. Like, I think it was like Steve Jobs. I'm not 100% sure. That was kind of like on the other side of the equation. It was like, hey, we need to make our product more simple. And the goal was always like to do everything in three. Do you remember something like that? But like, what's the typical pain points that you strive to solve, beyond just the 3 click or maybe less clicks? What are some of the pain points that people run into dealing with technology today in property management that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, I think there's a variety of things that we help with. I would say one of the first places that we always start with clients and a big problem is just data governance and data hygiene, right? In whether you're dealing with an association or, a multifamily complex, having a very, codified, I guess, move in, move out process so that who's in your community, who should have access to certain things in your community, who you're really serving. It's funny, a little anecdote. I was in a meeting maybe about a month ago, and the community actually said they knew more information about the pets on the property than they did the actual residents in the buildings. And I thought
That's
that was
hilarious.
so poignant.
Pets are
We all can't help
transparent.
with that. Hey, with the breed restrictions out there, and
Nothing.
but yeah, I think it's data. It's really understanding efficiency and process, right? And I think like I mentioned before, they hop around to a bunch of different systems. So if we can just provide a little bit of value and saying we can cut that one additional system out, it makes that staff's lives easier. It makes it quicker for them to get maybe a communication out to the community or some other event or news, promoted to the residents.
Now we're coming up on the time, so I want to ask you very briefly, how do you support the growth of the property management companies that you work with, and how do you support the growth of the association itself?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways we do it, but we really like to see ourselves as partners, right? I think there's a good adage in business that you focus on what your core business is, do what you really do well to drive that performance, and hire other people. Don't get distracted by trying to do things that aren't your core business. So how we like to work with our clients, our association clients especially, is how can we be that trusted technology consultant partner where you have a need, you come to us. There's plenty of times too, right? I know our core business is software, right? And something that always comes up as a good example is, we do integrate with access control vendors, of which there's a multitude out there in the world, and we've got a lot of experience working with a lot of different technology vendors through integrations. If a property were to come to me, even if it's something outside of the scope of what we do, right? It's something of a point of pride of us to make sure that we're consulting them as an agnostic, third party. We want to give them the best advice possible, source the best vendors as possible. And the more that we build an ecosystem, together, right, not with our clients,
Gotcha.
with our other vendor partners, it's a win-win for everybody.
Well, we really, really like to give our guests on the show an opportunity to thank somebody. Adam, this is very, very enlightening, but we're asking you now to reach out to our viewers and give a shout out to somebody who maybe has influenced you, could be a charity, somebody's really pushed your career or your business to where it is today.
And don't say Steve Roderick.
Yeah, I can absolutely share some things with you. When I was living back on the East Coast, I was heavily involved with the American Diabetes Association. I know it's a little bit outside of our realm, but I'm a type 1 diabetic myself, and it's been a mission of mine as well to help build the awareness around that. And there's a lot of legislation that's even happened in the past 5 years to make insulin costs drop and more accessible to folks. Obviously, the pharmaceutical industry, being what it is, anything that we can do to help make access more available to those that need it, it's that's what we're about.
All right, so I guess that would be a nice plug for JDRF right now, this organization that is fighting the research and the cure for diabetes. So thank you very much, Adam. Steve?
Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, our pleasure. It was my pleasure to see you. It's my displeasure to see you, Steve. We'll see you. I'm joking. You know I love you.
What a way to start the week, David. What a way to start the week. Adam, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing with us.
Thanks so much.
We'll see
Cheers,
you guys.
Everybody.